Hey everyone, welcome to the Madcast Gaming Dojo. This is August 3rd. The category tonight for the Dojo is double support. So we're going to be seeing some double support comps going against each other on Battlefield of Eternity, it looks like. So Madcast Gaming is a gaming community. We have chapters in Heroes of the Storm, obviously, as well as League of Legends, and I believe also Overwatch. We're actively, I think, restarting our chapter of World of Warcraft, so for Legion, so keep an eye out for that. My main focus in this game with the chapter is HOTS. So tonight, I'm going to be casting this. I have a guest caster with me. He's a member of my team league. Great guy, Archimedes. Archimedes, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Archimedes. I play support. More specifically, I'm just in general a very active gamer. I've been in this community for just under a month. I'm very much into just incredibly deep levels of play. I'm into a lot of different games. I actually hop around on the channels of Madcast quite a lot. Mostly sticking to Heroes lately. This is looking to be a pretty nice game in general. The theme for today's dojo, the dojo being a challenge or a specific setup presented by Madcast officials. The challenge this week is double support comps.
And double support comps are kind of big in the meta right now. I mean, there's I would say double warrior is a bit more popular at the top level, but double support you still see quite a bit of. One of my favorite games that I've seen recently, it was Gale Force Esports against Astral Authority, and it was on Dragonshire. And Gale Force went Rhaegar Brightwing, no warrior. It was Zul, I want to say Thrall, and I can't remember who the third non-support was. But so double support does free you up a lot to go a bit more ham with some heroes that typically require a bit more babying, heroes like Zul and Thrall. What are your thoughts kind of overall on double support in the meta right now?
Double support in general is something I always see as worth considering, simply because a lot of the support options that aren't just directly... So there's a lot of supports that are in the line of Kharazim, Rhaegar, Brightwing, Morales that are very committed to their role and aren't nearly as flexible. But you also have options such as Tassadar, Rhonda, Medivh, and Lily, which can either put in a lot of damage or put a lot of recovery or set up a lot of plays. The supports overlap very comfortably, or rather, they cover each other's bases very comfortably. So considering double support is rarely a bad thing.
Yeah, well, I would... One point I would disagree is I think Kharazim can spec into really good damage dealing, although he can't really do it at the same time as healing, but, Anyways, as far as the... So we are seeing the team start to get to the channel, so we should start a draft before too long. As far as the healers that you think are better in a double support setting, one thing is Rhaegar very often tends to be a solo healer. Although you will see him in comps with Tassadar, but that's because Tassadar, in the meta especially, is so good with auto-attack heroes that he's worth having, with any healer. It doesn't matter what. But I do see a lot in the way of, double comps with Tassadar to Rhonda or Lili as a separate healer. And I think part of that is Lili simply lacks the burst healing, which, given how many burst heroes there are in the game right now, is vital. Any thoughts kind of on that?
With Lily specifically, when she gets used the synergy with the dragon and blinds. She's in the sort of support niche where there's a specific role she covers, but in terms of generally keeping a team alive consistently, she doesn't do that nearly as well.
Right, and that's why in Hero League I tend to speak out against solo Lili. But Lili also only costs 2,000 gold, so we're going to see her a lot. Hero League right now, at least at my level, which is admittedly low, people despise double support. And I'm hoping that we end up with the kind of game where I can show them, like, look, double support's really good, because look how extended these fights can be. Imagine going against a team with only one support. And I think that maybe is the main goal of where Double Warrior, the main goal is often to control the fight, zoning, lockdown, all those things. With Double Support, it's just, not surprisingly, trying to be able to win long engagements is often the goal. Do you agree with me on that? Or?
Absolutely. With a fair bit of experience with Rhaegar and Tarazin, the thing I've noticed quite a lot is, especially after the change with Rhaegar, the actual power of the healing isn't really that high. Rhaegar can barely keep a few people alive over the course of a fight, and if it lasts too long, the fight is done. If you're picking a Rhaegar, you really want to have an aggressive comp. However, Rhaegar brings enough to the table, and barely doesn't bring enough on the front of healing, that if you want to have a comp that wants to last for a while with a Rhaegar, you can bring in a double support. He is a great support to have double support with. Brightwing is like on the complete opposite spectrum, where she's best only if the fight lasts for a really long time.
Right.
And that's very interesting how the supports are on that front. The main benefit of double support is you want this fight to last for as long as possible. So any map with area control, any map with poor options for recovery, it's going to be good for a double support comp. And then there's like specific map things such as, hey, this specific part of the map is often easy to choke off. That's a good place for a Tassadar wall. This is a good place for a Brightwing Emerald Winds. This is a good place for a seven-sided strike. Good place for a Starfall. So both specific map things due to the strengths of specific heroes, and generally the concept of keeping your team alive, both of those tend to go really well.
So let's go ahead and look at who's going to be on which team to start with. We are familiar with a lot of these names. I should note that we are explicitly on a team with Lagspike, Lorenzo, and Steven in this. The people watching right now can see the names. I've seen a few of these people. I think the teams are fairly well balanced by skill, given my experience, although some of the names I'm less familiar with. One thing I will note is Callow is probably one of the better players in this. I doubt you would disagree. I believe Callow is Fury, correct?
I have not ever actually played with Callow, so I can't really make a judgment there.
Okay.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see how it goes, but yeah.
I think that is Fury's account. Anyway,
Oh, that's almost certainly Fury. Yeah, that has to be. Like, he's the person who swapped out, and Fury's still in the chats. Yeah, that's him. He's probably going to do really well. I think Flex, the only other name I'm
User joined your channel.
But yeah, hi there, Rama.
Yeah, I've played with a few of them. But I should just note that bias there towards like Spike and Steven, since we are on teams with them, and that might show through in some of the casting. I'll try to avoid it. Now, as far as double support on Battlefield of Eternity, specifically, this seems less common just because Battlefield of Eternity seems to reward that triple poke build. You see a lot of Li Ming, you see a lot of Lunara. Heroes that can poke the Immortal from a distance. The advantage of those heroes being, of course, that you can poke in even while someone's defending. So,
I would, on the one hand, in general, double support on this map, I would say, is a bit odd. There is one specific support who is used as a double support on this map, to the point of near exclusion, and that would be Tyrande.
Right, of course. And that's because of her Hunter's Mark giving that extra damage onto the Immortal. If you get Tyrande Greymane, that Immortal can die so fast it'll make your head spin. Especially Greymane with the Inner Beast, he can just go ham all day on the Immortal. Now, another healer though that I will see in double support comps is Tassadar, because that middle area allows so many opportunities to block off of the wall. So it looks like we're going to head into the draft. So let's focus on this first. So we're going to see the red team banning first. Now I should warn users that when you're in Observer Channel, sometimes the colors get mixed up. So yes, it is, in my screen it is correct. So it looks like Lorenzo is going to handle the bans for red team, Scratch is going to handle the bans for blue team. Lorenzo, Likely to ban, just me knowing him and knowing what he does. I wouldn't be too surprised to see any type of Kerrigan ban. He doesn't like banning Kael'thas, and I don't even think Kael'thas is a great ban on this map, but he likes to ban heroes like Kerrigan, Greymane, the dive-centered heroes.
As an added to that, the current, we know going into this that both teams are going to have double support. That is a requirement for the draft. And as someone with a lot of experience in gaming and a lot of experience in, I guess the short way to phrase it is being very manipulative with picks, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they tried to, in general, try to lock out every option for Divey Burst.
Right.
Because that's the one thing that's going to shut down support. If they have to do sustained fighting, they're going to be in a good place.
Yeah, and we should note, again, they have to pick double support. We are counting Medivh as a support for this event. So that is part of it. Abathur is not counted as support, I should note. We are seeing the Kael'thas, so more of a... the Faustat ban. Faustat also always a very good ban. So one thing that I think we should talk about is the possibility of trying to grab the support you want to build a comp around, like a Tyrande early, if you're going to do that. The other option would be sandbagging towards the end, because even if you get the last 2 picks, at worst, there's only 2 supports off the table. We should note they're not allowed to ban supports for this game. And we are seeing the Tassadar pick early, so I do expect to see AA heroes coming out of Red Team.
Tassadar is a very low commit hero to pick at any point. He, in competitive play at the moment, he's a very common ban. I actually want to make a point here and say that the Tyrande pick here is very weird. You already saw the enemy team pick Tassadar. I think it would be very risky to consider that the enemy team is going to want Tassadar Tyrande, so your Tyrande pick is locked down. It can't even be banned.
I could see Tassadar Tyrande, especially because Tyrande, let's be honest, Tassadar is just damage-wise is awful. And this is a PvE damage map. Now, he can clear lanes quickly, but on the Immort, he's not particularly useful. So I think that Tyrande can support that.
Mm-hmm. In general, I think so, and we have seen Tassadar Tyrande, but we've seen Tassadar Tyrande fighting 1 support teams.
Yeah, and we are seeing actually the Rhaegar come out early. So Rhaegar and Sylvanas. Now, Sylvanas is extremely valuable on this map. I was part of me was expecting to see Sylvanas banned. We are seeing Red toying with the idea of an Illidan ban. I do think it makes sense with Rhaegar Tassadar, as well as with Sylvanas. You kind of need someone to protect her. So I like that ban. One thing I will note, the synergy with Tyrande and Li Ming, it's going to let Li Ming, if she does magic missiles build, really just chunk down that Immort.
Mm-hmm. Li Ming, I'm actually curious whether or not they will go Li Ming, because on the one hand, Li Ming's going to have...
Li Ming's already been selected for blue team.
Oh, they are. That's my bad. I completely missed that.
It is an early pick, I think, but if Callow's comfortable on it, then...
It's something I'm very curious about in terms of sustained, the fights are going to be sustained. Do you really want someone who requires that the enemy team dies to really take control of a fight? Naturally, Li Ming does well during a fight, but perhaps you would prefer to have a hero who didn't have that as such an integral part of them. Now DC is a really good ban here.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially with Tyrande. That ETC Tyrande combo is great for setting up ganks. You go Power Slide into Lunar Flare into Face Melt, and usually by that point the person's already pretty low. I love the Muradin pick here because Muradin can dish out pretty high single target damage if he builds into that. We are seeing Brightwing to try to get some healing out. This might free up Tyrande to go more of a DPS build.
The thing I rather like about this is with Tyrande Q, it's rather comfortable to keep someone barely alive during a fight. With Brightwing passive, it's really comfortable to keep the entire team generally alive throughout the entirety of the fight.
Right.
This is the middle ground, like with the Brightwing Rhaegar. This is in a very comfortable space, and I'm quite certain they're going to be able to pull a lot of good plays with this. The Tyrael as solo tank with double support means that they definitely want to go aggressive comp. The Greymane adds to that as well.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like, really, from a teamfight perspective, it looks like they're really putting all their eggs into the Greymane basket. I will say that from experience, Lorenzo is a pretty nasty Greymane. Given how much CC that the that the blue team has. I would have... Well, Reign of Vengeance makes sense. I would have liked to have seen Mastodon, who is one of the RFMs in our guild, is pinging me that he would like to see Thrall. I would too, because I think they're lacking a PvE DPSer. I would have preferred Thrall to Vala, but Vala still gives you that good PvE damage for the Immorts, and decent poke. My fear with the blue team is that they have very little frontline against a Tyrael Greymane Rhaegar combo.
I was intending to bring that up. Blue does not have a lot of the red team has a lot of dive and a lot of self-team cover. The blue team is very vulnerable to just heroes that 4 of their heroes want to be in the same general spot during a fight. Lacking a competent melee hero is probably going to hurt them.
Yeah. Now, I will say the Brightwing can counter the Greymane dive pretty well. The Emerald Wind build with Soothing Mist is very popular right now, as is, Polymorph. So that's not to say they don't have options. I don't honestly know who to expect to win here. I think it'll honestly come down to just more player skill than the draft. That said, the Sylvanas pick is game-changing, in my mind. I'm still kind of surprised it wasn't banned.
There's one pick I'm surprised about, and it might have been due to hero pool limitations, or it might have been due to personal hero preferences, and judging by the portrait of the hero I'm about to complain about, I'm going to think it's the latter. Tassadar does not make too much sense alongside Rhaegar with this comp specifically. I think it would have made a lot more sense to have Medivh. Medivh would allow them to look specifically at what the enemy is doing around the Immortal. They're going for burst, immediate clear, and Medivh provides a lot of consistent damage, and can protect Lorenzo a lot better than I think Tassadar can.
Alright, well, let's go ahead and get this game going. We're going to see, on the blue team, we got Jacintha and Vala, Forfax on Muradin, Lagspike is going to be on the Tyrande, Callow is going to be on the Li Ming, and Scratch will be playing Brightwing. On the red team, we have Lorenzo on Greymane, Hard Drive on Tassadar, Fleck on Sylvanas, Steven's going to be playing the Tyrael, and Purist will be playing the Rhaegar. Looks like red team's going to try to go into the middle, trying to look for some kind of fight. They do have a pretty aggressive comp. They're actually setting up potentially for an ambush. Jacintha right now, a little bit out of position, going to be seen, but going to get run down at the bot lane. Right now, red has no one in top lane, just trying to go for that early gank.
We see Rhaegar taking Slow Totem this game. We see Tassadar taking Psi Infusion. There's a lot of plan already just in the town to be fighting constantly.
Now, I think this top lane is looking interesting, but for now I want to focus on Forfax very low. Gonna have to Dwarf Toss out. The Dwarf Toss is not as completely unstoppable as it used to be. We are going to see, though, Tassadar Brightwing laning against each other in the top. Both have very good wave clear, although Tassadar definitely has the better wave clear. So we'll keep an eye on that lane and see if Tassadar can maybe push some cannons.
It almost always makes sense to have Midwing controlling top.
Lorenzo's going to be caught out. Going to have to try to slash out, but does get picked off by the Vala, who pays for it with her life. Callow has to teleport out. Going to be a one-for-one trade there. Callow almost paid with it, with the life. Go back ahead. Sorry about that.
They're continuing to pick up health ups. The Brightwing top, or the Brightwing split off, often makes a lot of sense, but I think at some point during the fighting, it might have been wise to send her down. They were all very low, fighting a team that wasn't nearly as down as they were.
That's true, and Forfax is actually almost going to get picked up by Purist, but Steven goes a little bit deep for that one. Purist actually going to take an ass full of Li Ming's orb there, but a lot of trading. Very low health on both teams right now. The one thing I would have helped, I think, is if the red Immortal spawned on the bottom, because then Brightwing could blink in and keep the split soak up. Because it's already far, we'll see what happens. As far as right now, Immortal damage though, heavily favoring the blue team with that Tyrande Hunter's Mark. Red team might have to try to force an engagement here. We'll see what happens. They are going to try to pick someone off, but we are seeing.
Planning for the bush.
Yeah.
They don't fall for it, and the Angel goes into a poor position.
Well, I think as soon as Blue Immortal showed up on the right side, they needed to leave the bush, because there's no reason for everyone from Blue to try to come over when they're already ahead on the Immortal. That said, Red Team makes up a lot of ground. That's the power of Greymane. Nonetheless, though, this is going to be Immortal
For the red team.
Oh, for the red team. Actually, they did.
actually stole it
They
from
did make up the ground. So that's the power of Greymane there. And we're going to see Tassadar already laying up top. Blue team going with a 4-man defense, keeping Brightwing on bottom.
And red team is going for the offense, the at least triple offense bottom. The Sylvanas backing up Greymane push. I'm curious how I feel about this. I think it can go well.
Well, keep in mind that that Immortal has so few shields that Blue Team still has to mount a defense or lose a wall, but they're going to be able to grab a wall on bottom for this. Now Blue Team has responded. The Immortal, though, already dead. That first Immortal is, of course, intentionally pretty weak, and with as few shields as it had, Blue didn't have to put a lot of thought. That said, they've already lost all but one cannon on the front line across both their forts. So really good job by Red. We are seeing a fight down here on bot for this Merc camp. Just some poking back and forth. No one going to commit, but now Fleck up front. Gonna take a face full of Arcane Orb there. Another one following up. Not gonna find Fleck. Lorenzo is gonna eat it on the front end. But this Li Ming poke is just really hard to deal with. That said, when push comes to shove, are they going to be able to stand on the point long enough to get the cap?
Goes for the dive. Polymorph gets sent. No real commitment to engagement yet.
And Red is going to grab that. That's the thing. Li Ming can poke all day, but she cannot stand still. That is the rule. So,
in the meantime, Tyrael and Tassadar managed to break down the rest of the wall from under Tyrande and Murden.
Yep, and now we're just seeing Tyrael just slapping back and forth, but I do think Tyrael needs to get out now. This is not a fight he's going to win. He really just wants to try to soak safely, especially without Tassadar there. Now he has to spend a tap because he was sitting there fighting when he really didn't need to, I think.
Brightwing is continuing to go passive builds. Li Ming has shown her face and wanted to go for Triumvirate. Murden is going for the very popular aggressive W build. All pretty expensive talents.
Yeah, and I should note that heading into this Immort fight, Red Team does have their level 7 talents, so Blue Team needs to either try to soak that, or they need to, try to engage downtown here. It looks like Blue Team opting to go for the soak here, trying to get that 7. They do grab their 7s, but we have that Bruiser camp pushing in the top for Red. Blue Team did not get their Bruisers.
Red transitioned to the Bruiser at the right time. Red had the talent advantage. No longer the case, though they do also have the Immortal advantage.
And we are seeing the Blue Team try to go in for a defense, trying to get the lockdown of Tyrael, but Farfetch's already very low, and he is their front line. That said, Tyrael gets caught out too long. Stormbolt almost gets finished by the Vala. Is very low and going to get blown up by the Li Ming. That's going to give the reset. Purist almost goes down. Lunar Flare almost secures the kill onto Purist, but there isn't enough follow-up. That said, all the while, despite that temporary victory, Blue Team is losing damage onto their top fort, to that Bruiser.
I don't think it's quite likely that the top fort is going to fall, but it's definitely going to take some damage.
Right. And the Immort should still go to top, I believe, in this situation.
The Archangel's Wrath hurt 3 people at the very end of that fight, and we saw very shortly thereafter Brightman being able to kill all of it off. And
Murden doing everything he can to intercept all those skill shots, trying to stall out, but this is going to be another Immortal over the Red Team. Unable to get the zoning, and just not able to damage their Immortal fast enough to make up for the gap that they lost early on. So we are going to see the Immortal actually go to bottom lane. I was incorrect. We're going to see Li Ming versus Tassadar in the top, but otherwise it's going to be 4-on-4. Jacinthe already out front, very low. Tyrael trying to make something happen. Going to get Polymorph. Farfetch very far back, trying to get just poke damage onto that Greymane. But now this Immortal is already on the fort, and there is the Sylvanas pressure. This is where Sylvanas comes into play. That Immortal is just dropping so slowly because there's no structure damage coming out onto it. And this is going to get a fort without having to really make any extended plays there. But I think now, yeah, Blue Team is now going to be able to kill the Immortal, but Lag Spike is very low. He's going to get picked up, as is Forfax. This is a 2-for-0 trade. Jacinth not going to be able to get behind the wall. That's 3-for-0, but Steven now very low, getting poked by Brightwing, is going to be able to get out. With Sylvanas up here, with only one person defending, they are looking to try to take a cannon. Remember, these keep cannon walls are worth a ton of XP. Already level 10 talents from the blue team. We're seeing the Ancestral onto Greymane. Greymane going to take out this turret. That turret's worth a ton. Steven, though, getting poked from Li Ming. Steven actually going to pursue Li Ming. Is in a lot of trouble. Needs to get out of there. Judgment taken from Tyrael rather than Sanctification here. But, oh dear, Fleck is in a lot of trouble. Fleck getting focused down. Is Fleck going to be able to get away? Steven also very low. Farfax trying to dive in, get the Stormbolt. Does not get it. Steven, though, is going to use the Smite and be able to get away. Stormbolt attempted. Not enough range. That was fast and furious fighting there.
Oh yeah, we saw at the very start of that fight, Red did not have their support with them. Rhaegar was still coming into the lane. They were aggressively poking, but they weren't crossing certain lines of the map, and that let them survive. But by the time they were fighting Blue, Blue had been poked down. Red now finally had their fresh support, and were able to carry that along with the Immortal and the Sylvanas backup all the way to their keep.
We're seeing Fleck and Steven trying to challenge this siege camp at the bottom. I don't think they're going to be able to engage on it. Steven's already about half health. Trying to make something happen, though. Diving onto the Li Ming. Muradin's already pretty low as well. Wailing Arrow's going to come out. It's only going to collect Muradin. Not going to get the Tyrande. But now we're seeing Jacinth come down, using their Rain of Vengeance. Tyrael's very low. Tyrael is going to get blown up. What value is Tyrael going to get off the trait? Not a lot. Gets actually really good damage on to Scratch, but siege camp secured by Red Team. Looks like Greymane now rotating up. They are neither team Blue Team did manage to grab their bruisers, but they were taken out by Red Team. Fleck very low, going to get poked out of lane, but we are now seeing the Immortal phase.
We are seeing Greymane on one Immortal and Li Ming on the other, with not a lot to contest either of them at the moment. Neither team has a lot of knowledge about each other, save for light pokes and prods. Vala might be in trouble.
Decided to pick a fight that is a really bad fight to pick against Greymane. Gonna pay for it.
Can they follow this up?
Blue team has to go on defense, but it is a 4v5. Judgment down onto the Li Ming, and that's going to lead to a blow-up. Scratch now going to get picked up by Greymane. Forfax, is he going to be able to get away? Very low health, but does get behind the wall. Lag Spike on the side, still out of position. Lag Spike's got to be careful, but does manage to get away. And this is going to be an Immortal over to the Red Team again. We are seeing Steven just continuing to poke. Steven actually going to go diving over the wall here. That's trying to, I guess, just stall it out and get chased onto him. Going to Alduin's Might out of there. Going to be safe if he can run away. He does. And that is an Immortal with a lot of shields heading over to Red Team. This could potentially, if they manage to get a lot of value on Sylvanas with as low as that fort is, this could potentially be keep threatening.
It could very easily be a keep. I think they're allowing the blue team to take the top and clear out the Angel there and just take down the bottom keep. That lane is already more pushed in than top is.
And actually, they are doing just that.
Nice. We're seeing a lot from Tyrael this game. Most of the team is already pretty sustainable and tanky. He is very much taking the role of poking at the enemy team, prodding, healing. We saw at some point during the fight him just recognizing that he was dead and staying on the team to buy more time. And
we are seeing Li Ming coming out to defend, but too little too late. And that is both a fort and a keep. And that's Immortal still up. He's going for the cannonballs. Remember, those cannonballs are worth quite a bit of XP. Already level 13 talents for Red.
650 XP on those things.
Yeah, now, as far as... we are seeing engagement on this wall here. Starfall coming in. Vala does get picked off early. Ancestral on the Tyrael. Lorenzo is deep. Lorenzo's going to have to roll out of there. Fleck, very low. Fleck, not with the escape currently up. It's going to be a full retreat for Red Team despite getting the kill. But yeah, this Greymane burst just lets them say, with this squishy lineup that they're facing, okay, you're dead, and you're dead, and then I'm just going to run away because I don't want to stick around anymore with the disengage. Greymane is just strong on this map and strong in team fights.
Oh yes, we saw quite a bit in this, in that fight particular. In that fight in particular, we saw
Blue Team looking for an engage here,
and Blue completely surrounding the Greymane. I think that was actually a big point for Blue. Had Blue not positioned themselves properly, they could have been very quickly overrun.
Yep. trying to get the disengages blue. They are going to get away, but right now their keep is exposed. Li Ming and Fowler are going to rotate up, but Tyrael going in onto the core with Sylvanas. They're going to try to make something happen. Red team now posturing to back out. Rain of Vengeance and the Disintegrate combo is going to get them away. That said, not a whole lot of damage onto the red team, so they got free damage onto the keep there, not a lot of problem. And with Tyrael, Greymane it's always been a good combo. You know, that was why Greymane was able to dive so deep. You do see the Ancestral as well, although so far it's primarily been used on Tyrael, not on Greymane. But, yeah, what are your kind of thoughts so far?
At the moment, I think Red is having a lot of very clear team fights. They know that they're very much looking to get on the back line, to control the fight, and to very quickly kill squishy heroes and get out. And they're both the nature of Tassadar and Rhaegar, and the speed of all of their heroes. All of them have some mobility enhancement.
We are seeing the Judgment on the Vala in the backline, who got found by Greymane. Polymorph on the Greymane, but it's not going to save the Vala. And now, just the posturing back and forth. Red team found their weakness that they wanted to go at. They used that Judgment. Now it's a 5v4. Forfax is going to get just absolutely blown up. Go for the throat used on that. But Lag Spike, Scratch have to run away. Oh, but the Tassadar wall is going to secure the kill on the Tyrande. Brilliant wall. Great job by Hard Drive there. And now this is going to be an Immortal over to... This is going to be an Immortal over to Red Team, and it's probably going to be a very healthy Immortal. This could very well be game. And Tassadar has just gotten a lot of value this game. He's mostly solo lane top during the laning phase. That's Tassadar's advantage, as well as that wall securing the kill there, and the shield's just letting Greymane go ham. We're already seeing Sylvanas and Rhaegar softening up that wall. This blue team not even contesting the Immortal. This is going to be a full shield Immortal, level 16 versus level 13 talents. The only thing Red has is they have all their heroics up right, or Blue has is they have all their heroics up right now. Go for the Throat won't be up for 30. Judgment should be up though by the time there's engaged. They're trying to catch Fleck out of position though before this can engage. Fleck is in a bad spot. No way Fleck's getting out of there. Khan's going to secure the kill. And Rain of Vengeance trying to get onto the Greymane does do some good damage. But now they have the 5v4. Tassadar is going to have to phase shift out of there. And but now the Immortal's coming up, so this is where it gets interesting. Blue, gonna want to poke. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Immortal always has to push into the less pushed lane, which is going to be of great advantage to the blue team while they're up a hero, particularly up Sylvanas. Greymane is going to be diving in deep. I don't think he's going to fall into too much trouble for it.
Yeah, stuns though on the red team. They are getting hit by these Immortal stuns, and you never want to see that. But this Immortal shields are down. They are going to lose their keep though, and that means 2 lanes with catapults pushing. All the while, red team has their entire structural wall intact. Blue though should be able to get this defense. That said, Sylvanas is up.
Yeah, actual core. Yep.
Yeah, so the shield's still up on core. That said, 2 lanes with catapults pushing, and red team actually looks like they're going to be setting up for an ambush here. We are seeing Stephen Pierce and Hard Drive breaking out the Chinese bush meta. Let's see if they can spot out a kill. They are going to engage hard onto this Immort Camp Seal, and once again, they're going to get one of the arrow shooters out real quick. This time it's Tyrande's turn to die first. Just really good use of Judgment and the Collapse. Just really brutal efficiency there. And even without Go for the Throat, the blow up is just there. Now it's 5v4 and they are looking to push.
We've seen a lot from the red team.
Or 5v3, excuse me.
In specific, using that push and that upward pass, but in general, having very fast rotations, very fast mobility, and it's been paying. And
Scratch just gets demolished. Even without Go for the Throat up. Ooh, but they do manage to catch the Greymane back. And Rain of Vengeance on the Steven. He's going to try to blow up onto Jacinth, but Jacinth is just going to retreat into the Hall of Storms. Red team needs to get out of there now. Dimensional Shift's going to be parked by Hard Drive. Now his Prescience has popped as well. This is bad and going to get picked up by the Li Ming. So that is 3 kills, 3 deaths there. That's going to be a great defense by blue team. Really good job. That said, this is as uphill a battle as you can get.
Rhaegar was in the tough position there where he had to make the huge save with Sylvanas and Tassadar, and Blue did a wonderful job cleaning up for that.
Now, this is where the hero choices come into play. I would say that Brightwing is a good wave clear, but Tassadar is a great wave clear, and I would certainly say Rhaegar is better at wave clear than Tyrande. So right now, if you're going to be in this position, I would much rather have Tassadar than Rhaegar. That said, I think this game's going to come down to... Red is probably going to win, but if this Immortal goes over to Red Team, that will be game. There's no way to stop it. That said, right now we're split. Scratch has to stay back and kill catapults, and
Brightburn has the advantage. She can, for the moment, she can mount into the fight if any fighting is called.
That's true. And fighting is about to happen. The Bush meta once again coming out, and the Judgment onto Tyrande, just always picking out a weak target. And that's the advantage of Tyrael against these squishy lines. Wailing Arrow going to collect all three, and this is brutal. Callow, is he going to be able to get away? The stun is going to save Callow, but it's going to cost Muradin and Scratch their lives. At this point, Red should just cry havoc and let slip the Dogs of War. Go Core. Instead, though, they are going to collect this Immortal. I would like to see them just push Core and end it. They certainly can end it right now, although Li Ming is pretty good at the core defense, so, you never know.
The enemy team is going to be down for at least 12 more seconds, just counting Tyrande. That's more than enough time to get to the core and begin poking. The Angel, or the Demon, I suppose, ensures the surefire kill, but I do think it was correct to dive core there.
I agree. Well, we are going to see Red not even wait for the Immortal, which makes you question why they picked it up in the first place. Nonetheless, here they go on to core. Lorenzo and Steven going to make up that front line. We're seeing, the huge stuns coming out. Rain of Vengeance gets tons of value there. Absolutely great use of Starfall. Already, Tyrael goes down. Just such great... Gravius still going for core. He's going to get picked off, though. Polymorph with the Hunter's Mark. And this is Red Team just throwing against the core. That's at 70%. This Immortal is definitely going to take it down. So, despite all the deaths, that is GG. Red Team just absolutely dominant in that one.
Somewhat sketchy finish, but they had so much insurance that it ended up working out.
Right, I mean, if you look at the map right now, Red Team not only had all their forts up, they had all their cannons up. And that was just a dominating performance structurally. And really just a good use of Judgment, a really good use of Tassadar there to enable Greymane, and Rhaegar had his Ancestrals on point for most of the game.
Excellent Ancestrals. Excellent Force Walls. I don't think, it's not even a matter of I can't count on my hand. It's a matter of I can't even think of one or two that weren't placed well against Walls or Ancestrals. So very nicely done there. I believe another lobby will be starting up.
I'm not sure if we'll do another game. I will pop up and see, but I think it was a good game. I do think I certainly, if I had to pick two healers, would have picked Rhaegar and Tassadar. If I could pick, because I would go Tassadar with shield enables, and Rhaegar just because Ancestral completely turns a fight around with one hit. But let's hop up to a channel and see what the plan is, and then we'll go from there. Thank you for those who have watched.